Well, today I want to cover what used to be the success tracker, and we now call the team system. And provided that you have a client or you have a project and you want to get stuff done beyond what you are capable of doing yourself, you need to have a team. And a lot of people that are coaches, authors, entrepreneurs, whatnot, they believe that if you just believe in yourself enough, then you can succeed. Or if you buy a course or use a piece of software, you can succeed. But we know that that's not enough any more than even with the greatest amount of prayer, you can fly, right? You still have to be like Boeing and assemble a 747 and have a team, put all these items together. So I want to cover a real live example of one we're working with. And this is a new client that just came on. It's JJ Mazzo, who runs the core training, but he also runs cross-country mortgage. And I want to show how to break down his particular components. He signed up for an initial strategy session and then purchased our plumbing package for $5,000. And that's what we have at, I'll show you. Everything we have is driven by URLs. And even if you're not at the level of having lots of people with an agency and whatever, you still want this kind of thing. So we have 3-letter acronyms: digital plumbing course, Google Tag Manager, goals, content, and targeting. In this case here, we have a course on how to do digital plumbing, step by step, of course, because everything that's a course is a package. And then people can come in and they can buy the package. And that's how you govern what's going to happen. You don't have to negotiate anything. So when people come in and, oops, this was the course. Well, the other one would lead to the package, right? And we also want to format this a little bit better. I think it's because we switched our Infusionsoft. Yeah, this is the wrong Infusionsoft. It should be blitzmetrics.infusionsoft. But anyway, he buys the package. And then, of course, we want to meet. But before we have a kickoff call, we want to make sure it's going to be productive. So that's why we tell them, look, we want to make sure we have your goals, content, and targeting, and we want you to prepare that in advance. Otherwise, we just get on a call and we talk randomly and we hope that it's going to be valuable. It's almost always a waste of time, especially the more people you have. And your likelihood of success is directly inversely proportionate to the number of people that you have in the meeting. So you have 2 people in the meeting, then it's 1/2 squared, which is 1/4. You have a 25% chance of winning. If you have 10 people in a meeting, then you have a 1/10 squared. You have a 1/100 chance, a 1% chance of winning. So you want to reduce the risk you have by collecting goals, content, and targeting. So in this case here, we're going to kairorevenue.com/GCT to collect the strategy components, which are goals, content, and targeting. And then they can go ahead and fill out all these other items. And it's an easy thing that you can run through any kind of form. You can run it through Infusionsoft. There's many ways to set up these kinds of forms, right? Some people, whatever your favorite survey kind of tool is or marketing automation tool. So we know that JJ Mazzo, if we do a search on him, he runs cross-country mortgage. So he's one of the biggest mortgage players. And he's so big that he also is training up other mortgage folks, other mortgage brokers. Uh-oh. You guys still with me? Did I lose you? All right. I thought I'd signed out. Okay. And we can see, here's the site. It's pretty powerful. DR72 homepage, maybe not so much. Lots of links, lots of keywords. And we also know that he's not only trying to grow. So we go to his goals, content, and targeting. He's not just trying to grow mortgages, refinance and new homes, but he also wants to grow his coaching business. So you can see there's Mazzo marketing, and then there's another piece as well. So whenever you have a figurehead, they usually have a core business, which is what they're demonstrating. Like Glenvo's a dentist, but he's also got other things on top of that. And you can see here that he's selling the core training. So here he is. He's talking about the core training, learn how to get more, close more deals. Rick Ruby is the founder of Core Training, but Rick is retiring in 2 months. And JJ is taking over this business. And they told us their goal is to be able to grow Rick's brand, to be able to, or not Rick's brand, what am I saying? JJ's grow JJ's brand by leveraging all the assets that are here. So he wants to generate more leads and sales, but he also wants to build his brand, which often is going to be a little bit of fluff, like more followers, more reach, more people knowing about him. But we want to balance the top of funnel vanity metrics with actually driving sales. So in this case here, this is not for a consumer that wants to refinance their mortgage. This is for a mortgage broker. So this is B2B to C. And this is where we think the real power is when you have a lighthouse. The same way we have a Sean Dill. So Sean Dill's marketing chiropractors who, of course, have clients. So that's B2B to C. And I think B2B to C is the most powerful framework there is. The core training. Okay. It's so big that you should be able to find it just off a search. And we can see that he has an audience here, which is medium powerful. Usually the B2B sites are not as powerful as the main consumer sites. Here is 72. This is a landing page, so it's a 0. And then this has some power. But you can see they're generating millionaires for mortgage coaching, which can be a little ridiculous because you hear a lot of people talking about millionaire, this, a millionaire, that. But it comes from who he is as a successful mortgage broker. Glenvo is a successful dentist, Sean Dill as a successful chiropractor. So they're teaching from their example, but the net result of people in coaching programs is they want to make more money. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we have Rick Ruby here, who's still the figurehead of core training, but we're going to replace him with with JJ. And they've got lots of people already in this program. It's already very profitable. We're just trying to transition authority. So that means we have to tie together all the assets across Google, Facebook, YouTube, websites, and then consolidate them all, funneling through the digital plumbing into more people subscribing for the core training. So they'll come in on a free consultation, then come in on a lower level coaching program up to a high ticket coaching program, which is pretty standard in high ticket. So before we meet with them, we say, hey, let's make sure that we have your goals, content, and targeting. We did a quick audit just to see kind of what's there and get connected. And let's get as much as we can ahead of time to understand what you're trying to do, match with the assets that we are given, right? So we're combining the goals, content, and targeting with their actual assets, the actual Google Analytics and YouTube and website conversions. Excuse me. So then that gives us, oops, not this one. This is what I'm going to go to a little bit later. This one, here we go. So this is a framework we have. It's either called the team system or the success tracker. They're the same thing. It's our 6-phase process, which is the social amplification engine. And you can see it's a template. So we're putting in JJ, me, Tristan, and Daniel. Although I'm largely doing a lot of the talking, the work is being done by these other people because I don't have the time to be doing all the detailed stuff, right? So I'm more the architect. I'm not hammering the nails or, painting the walls, that kind of thing. So that's why you have teams of VAs that are getting task level work done. And you can see table of contents. This is something that we would continue to add to and update every quarter or so. And we know that everything's driven off of metrics, analysis, and action. So what are the metrics? How much are we doing in sales against the goals that they told us? And how do we want to increase that? And how do we prove that we achieved their objective? And what's our analysis and what's our action? Well, this is templated. This isn't the actual MAA because it has to be based on their goals, content, and targeting. A lot of people will say they're doing MAA by repeating some stats, but not actually going to the detail of goals, content, and targeting, and have thoughtful, non-obvious insight into what's going on. So we can see here that we have his SEO stats aren't that great, but that's because Vendasta intentionally grades hard. So some of the directory things like listings aren't really as powerful because they're not as important as Google. Google's the most important directory. You don't need to be in 300 directories, but certainly they're not doing these other pieces. They're not running ads. They're Ironically, their SEO is not an F, but I think I think their SEO is an A plus. But just goes to show you can't always rely upon these particular tools. As you can see, these other pieces are here just to be able to talk about them. And we show that this is not cookie cutter, even though it is a template, because we are linking to their different assets. So we can start to say things that are specific components of goals, content, and targeting. So they might not have a public figure page. They might not have any of these other components, but see, here it is. We'll see what's going on. And we can come in and provide some basic thoughts. For example, they're getting rid of targeting because of iOS 14. See this iOS 14 stuff. You got to verify your business manager and other pieces. Lifetime, 20,000. That's not bad. But if we go last 30 days, we can do a little MAA and see what's going on, right? Based on their objective, how they're doing, the running link clicks and video views, right? 2 cent through plays. We can view the setup to see what the goals, content, and targeting combinations are. Usually when they have a program to sell, which is at the top level, which is for here, the core training, as opposed to for his mortgage business. Okay. Where is that document I just had open? Where is that document I had open? Just had it open. Did I not have it open in the Finder? Where is it? I want to reopen it. Here we go. Okay. So we have these components in here. We verify access. There's a link to the audit. I'd like to have all these things open before we have our meeting. That way we can go through it and we can show that, here's what we're working on. There might be things that are missing, things we don't have. We always link to these items. That way it's easy to audit. This is something that we're hoping Vendasta can incorporate inside their model, but we know that, we're building it in our own system to be able to look at all these other items, and tools like SEMrush are building it. Like every other tool is building this kind of access so that we can connect everything together and do automatic analysis against it. So we can see what we have, but we haven't done any analysis yet against it. We haven't said, based on metrics, analysis, action, what our recommendations will be, but we'll have that tomorrow. Our meeting's tomorrow. We score these other items just to see, are there some quick wins that we can take? Usually there's some things wrong with the website, easy enough to be able to fix. And is it going to be life-changing? Probably not, but the sum of lots of little improvements is the key to driving overall success. A lot of people think that it's just one great idea, and sometimes that's the case, but usually it's one or two little things. His main goal, he said in his goals, content, and targeting, when we had a quick little phone call, was about growing the core training, which is his coaching for 7-figure mortgage brokers. So we want to be able to teach from his training, and we obviously want his underlying business to be doing well, right? Not just the coaching business, but the mortgage business. So we want to, even though his main goal is not to grow cross-country mortgage, just out of ethical sharing and whatnot, because he's training other mortgage brokers, we want to make sure all these other items are here. So he's not done the cross-posting. He's not done a lot of the responding and community management, or he doesn't have someone to do it, or maybe he does, but they're short. So we're going to fix all these items for him, which are simple enough to do. And that's the bread and butter of anyone that's in local, is looking at these particular items where they're not posting video, they're not posting often enough, they're not posting on their Google My Business, they're not boosting posts, they haven't been using custom audiences, they're not optimizing their campaigns. And we can see by going into his analytics, which we link to, of course, and we have these pieces here, where there's issues. So we can see, hey, your top source of traffic is direct none. That means it's either email or basically they can't track it. So that's a problem. But then again, this is on the cross-country mortgage, and it's not on the core training. So we need to make sure we're looking at the right particular assets. So we can see here, GA tells us that the top queries are his name, excuse me, which is what we'd expect, and his area, San Juan Capistrano, and other areas inside Orange County. So you can see this is done before I even come in and look at anything. This makes it so much easier. This is just like a doctor or a dentist. When they walk into the patient's room, they can pull the chart, and the nurse has done a lot of the work. So that way I don't have to take the x-rays. I don't have to do the teeth cleaning. I don't have to collect the credit card. I don't have to schedule the next appointment. I come in as the doctor, scan the charts, all the stuff's done for me. And that way I get high efficiency off of my time. And that's how the dentist is able to do that in only, they see you for 4 or 5 minutes, but they're able to see 10, 15 patients in an hour. And that's what we want to do here, where if you're running an agency, we want to make sure that these are all good. And we want to make it so foolproof that even people that claim that they're doing MAA, we even embed the training explaining what is MAA and what is it not, and what are the most common issues, right? We even link to articles where we talk about how to do this. And that's what we do in preparation for client call, is to show that these items are in place. And of course, fill it out. Have a VA fill it out. That's why we like to have VAs, because it's worth doing, but it's just not worth our time to do it. And show how through the 6-phase process, always keep referring back to the 6-phase process. If something's missing, we want to list that. We're still missing access. We're still missing some plumbing. We don't have clarity on the goals, on exactly how many subscribers or memberships or customers or clients or sales or whatever it is that we want. The content that supports it. And when you always operate in this framework, you're never at a loss for what happens in a meeting. The client can never take you off track. You're never caught off guard. It's smooth. And then we show getting stuff done, what we've done, what we're going to do, and what we need from you. GSD, getting stuff done. And that way, in the course of a meeting, as long as someone's taking notes, they're writing down the things that are missing, the things that we discussed, the things that are great ideas, put it in here and send it out in the meeting minutes within an hour or two after that meeting. That way, nobody's unsure about what's going on or how stuff is done. And then we can show, these are hidden slides at the end that if we want to, as we are executing campaigns, we can show, here's our funnel stats, and here's what our top ads are in these different channels. Of course, this is using a template with the Golden State Warriors. We're not going to show the Golden State Warriors to a mortgage broker, but it's a template. So it gives you an idea of what kinds of things you might put in here, which are going to be mainly short form videos that we recycle across other channels. Even LinkedIn, I think, 1-minute videos, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, of course, same 1-minute videos, just recycle them across all these other channels based on remarketing and based on existing customer bases that we have. And you can see that these are template slides that we can use and hide. And then we're ready for a meeting. And then tomorrow when we meet, we record it inside of Zoom. That way other people can watch later and learn from it and follow up on items that they weren't there for. So we don't want to invite everyone on the team to come to this meeting, because otherwise you get a ton of people coming to a meeting. They can listen to just the parts that are most relevant for them, or look at the part on getting stuff done. And then this, of course, ties to Basecamp. And Basecamp is where we track the tasks. We track what our performance is. We have a weekly update. And this is something that we believe everyone should do, whether you run an agency or whether you're doing it for yourself as an entrepreneur. So I want to put that out there and see, what do you guys think about this?